You're listening to BioTalk with Rich Bendis, the only podcast focused on the BioHealth Capital Region. Each episode, we'll talk to leaders in the industry to break down the biggest topics happening today in BioHealth.
Hi, this is day 2 of the BioHealth Capital Region Forum. We have a guest that we've had on BioTalk before to give us an update on some new position that he is assuming that's a national position, and it's Brian Darmody, formerly and still with the University of Maryland, but he has also jointly assumed the role as the new president for the Association for University Research Parks. Brian, welcome back to BioTalk.
Thank you, Rich. And just a correction, I'm the CEO.
You're the CEO. Okay, I'm sorry.
Of the Association of University Research Parks. We do have a president. That's a volunteer position that oversees the board, but I am...
You get paid.
I actually get paid.
Good. That's the difference between being the CEO and the president.
That's true.
It's a much more enviable position then, Brian.
Yes, and I'm still keeping my position through the end of the year at the University of Maryland, where I've been for a number of years, and then we'll take full-time the position of AURP CEO. AURP is a global organization that represents research parks, innovation districts, and other innovation areas in the U.S., Canada, and in 13 countries around the world. We have 40 states in the United States that have members. We are a nonprofit, and I get paid when we get money from our members or from sponsorships or other kinds of activities that the association represents these research parks and the companies that are in the research parks. For purposes of the bio area, we are forming a new BioHealth Caucus, which is a group of research parks and health innovation districts, mostly in urban areas, for example, Baltimore, Chicago, St. Louis, San Diego, obviously Boston, that focuses on university health science centers and their interest in building innovation space and building innovation districts and partnering areas for biopharma companies and universities to build an innovation ecosystem.
How many total members do you have? And then how many do you have that really focus on life science or biohealth?
So it's a little difficult to, as you know, the area of biohealth and the physical sciences are kind of merging, the importance of AI and computational science in terms of biologics. So I do not make a hard distinction. I would say probably a third of our members have a strong biohealth involvement, and we have over 100 research parks that are members.
With this new BioHealth Caucus you're forming, tell me what its mission's going to be and how are you going to educate people about this new caucus to get them engaged?
The bio world has some opportunities, some hurdles compared to a startup that's just doing a software startup. I mean, the biohealth world has regulatory issues. Their timeline for development, I mean, if they're developing drugs, that's clearly more than a decade. They have reimbursement issues. I mean, there's a lot of issues that kind of make the opportunities greater, but a lot more hurdles. So we're forming this caucus to help address those issues. They might be, people have heard about opportunity zones, federal opportunity zones. That's an investment initiative under the Federal Tax Reform Act. A lot of university health science centers happen to be in opportunity zones. What's the impact of opportunity zones? How do you get your companies, your biotech companies, available for opportunity zone funds that are being created across the country right now? What's the role of international in terms of biohealth? How do you finance new wet labs? Very expensive. I mean, as you heard at this conference, there aren't many there's not a whole lot of vacancy in wet lab space.
In our region, because we're growing so rapidly.
Yes, that's a good thing, but it's a bad thing. Because if you want to be a startup, you're not going to have a balance sheet that you can go out and have a Shear Partners or some life science developer build you space. And this is replicated in other parts of the country. So our caucus is to try to bring together like-minded people that are trying to address those issues, share best practices, be an advocate for the biohealth industry, not just in the BioHealth Capital Region, which I'm a strong proponent for because AURP has opened its headquarters HQ2, because we have our other headquarters at the University of Arizona.
Sort of
Research
like
Park.
Amazon, huh?
Yes, we had HQ2. We're going to formally open it sometime this year. I like to say we didn't ask for any incentives from the state of Maryland. On the other hand, the impact from a HR perspective, a little smaller than the other HQ2, which has 25,000 people. My office will be run by myself currently.
So let's talk a little bit about how you're going to launch the BioHealth Caucus and what you hope to achieve with that launch.
AURP has historically had a partnership with BIO, the large biotech organization, also headquartered in the Washington, D.C. area. As you know, they move this event around the country. This year it's going to be in Philadelphia. I think there's 13,000 of your closest friends will be there. So we like to leverage that event. So we're going to hold a pre-event, the AURP BioHealth Caucus. It's going to take place on June 2nd and 3rd. Right before the formal bio conference opens in Philadelphia. We have a meeting space at the University Science Center, which is the oldest urban science research park. Stanford University is the oldest research park. That started in 1951. University Science Center started, I believe, in 1963. Rich, you're on the board?
Was on the board,
so you can correct me. But we're going to have an event there on a Sunday evening dinner, and then we're going to have a discussion with BioHealth Caucus that Monday morning. So go to AURP.net and you can find out more information on how to register for the conference. It's on the bus route for bio. So even though the University Science Center isn't right next to the convention center, attendees going to bio will
easily
be able to
accessible.
Yes.
We've been speaking with Brian Darmody, the new CEO of the Association for University Research Parks, AURP, who will be launching at the International Bio Convention in Philadelphia, June 3rd through 6th. So, Brian, thank you for giving us an update on where you are today with your new responsibilities, and we look forward to checking back in with you as you progress with AURP.
Thank you, Rich.
Hi, this is Rich Bendis, your host of BioTalk, and we're actually recording from the 5th Annual BioHealth Capital Regional Forum. And we just completed our 4th annual Crab Trap competition, and we had 5 fantastic companies that were competing this year. And we had also a world-class list of judges, including Charlie Andrus from Wilson Sonsini, Rogov from New Enterprise Associates, Norm Marcus from Sandaline Ventures, Ethel Rubin from NIH, an entrepreneur in residence there, John Rubin from JP Morgan, and John Trainer from AstraZeneca. They had a chance to listen to these 5 entrepreneurs and presenters that included BCareLink, BrainBox Solutions, Floreo, Spinalign, and Unleash Immuno-Oncolytics Incorporated. And I have the opportunity now to interview the winner of this Crab Trap competition. And the company was Floreo, and the presenter was the CEO and the co-founder of Floreo, Vijay Ravindran. And Vijay, welcome to BioTalk.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for allowing me to pitch earlier today.
Well, we had, as you know, almost 50 applicants. We took the top 5. You were one of those 5. It was great competition. Everybody said we had the 5 best companies that we've had in the 4 years, and it was an extremely hard decision for the judges to make. But you are the winner.
Yeah, it's quite the honor. The 4 competitors were all tough, and they're all in spaces where they're trying to make a difference in the world.
And I think all of them will. But as you are the winner, and by the way, the winner got a $10,000 check from Wilson Sonsini plus $10,000 worth of legal services from Wilson Sonsini, which both of those prizes I'm sure you can put to use.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy because we've been spending way more than $10,000 with Wilson Sonsini up to this point, so we'll put it to good use.
It'll be nice to get some pro bono services for a change, right? So nobody knows what Floreo is, and I didn't explain what you do. So let's introduce the listeners to Floreo.
Floreo is developing virtual reality, intervention, and skills training content for people with autism spectrum disorder. We develop clinically content that can help kids and adults with autism learn skills that they might be delayed on obtaining. And we do that through a novel technology platform that streams the virtual reality view of the person who's wearing the headset to an iPad, allowing a professional, like a teacher or a therapist, or even a parent to supervise, administer, and actually interact with the person with autism as they're going through the training.
That sounds very interesting. And it also is the convergence of technologies, which we see more occurring within the biohealth industry. That's why we call it biohealth, not biotech. And so talk a little bit about that convergence that's happening with your technology.
It's really exciting on several different dimensions. Our solution today leverages commodity iPhones and iPads that people have in their pockets. Most people don't know that their smartphone in their pocket is also virtual reality capable. And with a simple, inexpensive $15 headset holder, you can turn your phone into a virtual reality machine. So we take advantage of that, pairing it with an iPad, which most people have lying around, and we're able to then create what would be otherwise seen as entertainment content, except it's clinically developed by a neurodevelopmental pediatrician and clinical therapist and focused on training different type of social interaction skills. So we're able to converge what is happening in real-world therapy today and turn it into virtual reality content and make it digital and animated. One of the powerful things that then becomes possible because we do that is all this rich data becomes available. So as the children and adults with autism are experiencing the virtual reality content, we're also able to gather data that's simply not captured in face-to-face real-world therapy, which then enables curriculum and personalization and adaptivity over time that we're very excited about.
At what stage is the development of your technology at this time?
The product, as of December, is available in the iTunes App Store. So if you have an iPhone or an iPad, you can just go to iTunes in the App Store, search on Floreo. Our product is available 1 month free, and it's a $50 a month subscription, which if you know anything about autism therapy is a steal because that's less than an hour of therapy. You get unlimited access to a growing catalog of therapy content that we're developing.
And talk a little bit about that content. What's included in that content?
We focus on, as some of you might know and some of you might not, autism is a disorder that impacts social, speech, communication, motor planning. It's a wide range of developmental delays that encompass the disorder. As a result, it's very common for families with a child with autism to be visiting a speech therapist, a behavioral therapist, an occupational therapist, a physical therapist. There's a real team and an army trying to help that child. In VR, we're actually able to develop content interventions that span across those. So we organize our content today in the app in 3 areas. We look at building block skills that are foundational. So think of areas like eye contact or the ability to imitate another child. These are foundational skills where once you learn that, you can learn other skills. But if you don't have it, actually everything else is a lot tougher. The second area, which we call teaching stories, involves social or life situations that are hard to learn the first time, and that because these children are generally delayed in imitation and some of the other observational skills used to gain it the first time, we give them an environment where they can practice. And so think of crossing the street and the rules around looking left, right, and understanding what the walk sign is, or interacting in the hallway with another child and the types of quick, curt interactions that can happen where if you answer the right way, it's the start of a potential friendship eventually. If you answer the wrong way, you're not cool and you might be bullied eventually. And then the third area we focus on is that many of these kids also suffer from a diagnosis called sensory processing disorder. So they can get out of sorts because of loud noises, because of the environment changing in ways that they find overwhelming. And so we create simple virtual reality environments. Schools today that are affluent are spending $50,000 a year on these calming rooms for kids with autism and ADHD. And meanwhile, for parents, for schools that are less affluent, there's not good solutions to help a child who feels out of sorts, just needs a 5 to 10 minute break where they could cut out the cacophony of the school to be able to get back into a learning environment. And our simple idea is to use virtual reality to create an accessible, affordable path for that same type of calming. So we have scenes as simple as being in the center of an aquarium, being able to play a xylophone, all the way to be able to practice mindfulness and deep breathing.
Really sounds like a simple but complex contact when you basically have to interface all of the different things that you're involving in your technology. And because of that, you're also probably going into some new ground. Does this require FDA approval or clearances for you to get this onto the market?
It does not. Autism therapy really ranges from areas that are very near to the diagnosis to areas such as how to cross the street. And so in the eyes of the FDA and from our meetings with them, areas like how to cross the street are not medical therapy in the way they define it. And so currently, Floreo is marketed essentially on the wellness side of the line. We're skills training for people with autism, and we're an educational product that's being delivered. And there are opportunities narrowly in areas that are closer to the diagnosis where there might be opportunities for us to create an FDA device. And those are areas we're exploring in the future as we look to develop the product. Right now, there are not any FDA-approved digital therapeutics in the autism space. So anything we do would be likely a de novo application.
You also mentioned in your presentation that you had some extensive experience with Amazon. So what was it that you learned with Amazon that you've been able to apply with your new company, Floreo?
I was an early Amazon engineer and working on the initial retail system. And, there's two things really that you take away from my time at Amazon. I think the first is that you start with the customer and work backwards. That was the hallmark of how we approached product building at Amazon. And it's been key to what we've built. We started by talking to parents, talking to therapists, talking to special education teachers, and the product very much has been defined based on their feedback, including the content library. Since the first set of lessons we built, pretty much everything we've developed since has come directly from customer feedback. The second area, which is more technology focused, is around thinking about the platform as you build the first vertical, so to speak. So in Amazon's case, that was books. But Books was building a platform that could go into music, video. I joined right after the VHS tab launched. And then to think about that platform play simultaneously. And so for us, where that fits in is that we've spent a lot of care building an idea of how therapy can be developed in VR, the workflows around it, the way to do automated assessment that goes with it, and the types of features you would need to be able to actually have a resilient therapy environment. So our system has the VR headset interfaces with the iPad. We've made it so that the iPad can be resilient to bad networks. We've made it so that the iPad could be in a completely different network, run remotely using video conferencing. We've thought about how the data can then be plugged into an engine, which is right now very simple, but eventually going to be powered with artificial intelligence to create more adaptive content. And so that long view around you're building a product in a narrow space, in our case, autism, but a long view when you're thinking 5-10 years out of building a platform and where that can be applied in a more broader sense.
We're visiting with Vijay Ravindran, who is the CEO of Floreo, our Crab Trap winner in 2019. How have you financed Floreo to date, and what are your financial needs to grow in the future? And what do you need those funds for?
So Floreo was initially the first year self-funded. We put about $600,000 of personal money to get the company off the ground. Started as a labor of love, inspired by my son. But as we started showing it to clinical professionals and getting feedback, it really felt like we had something that was bigger than just a home project. And so we were able to raise a little over $2 million in the summer of 2017 as a seed. It included venture funds like Greycroft, virtual reality funds, and then about 12 Amazon angels who I'd worked with for my previous tenure. What we've done with that money, along with an NIH Fast Track grant, is build the product and really create a bed of research that shows that the product generalizes to real-world skill development. And so we're now seeking to raise $2.5 million as a seed to really nail down the commercial strategy. So the funds would be used to develop marketing and start to clarify, autism is a diffuse market that spans across special education, healthcare, parents take an active role, employers and payers take an active role. And so probably the trickiest part of our business is establishing a stable commercialization strategy, because the product can be used by a lot of different channels. And, we're just in that tricky place right now where we're getting positive signs from many channels, and we need to spend a little bit more to understand which ones are the best ones to focus on, or what techniques can be used to reach the widest audience.
My daughter has a stepson who's got autism. So maybe I need to connect with you to get them a month's subscription.
First month is free in the iTunes App Store. So
we'll connect afterwards, and please let me connect them to this process, because it's something that didn't touch our family until she had gotten remarried, and there's an autistic child in that family. So
what you find, I've worked on some really big things like Amazon Prime, but nothing's been more gratifying than the last 3 years. And the fact of the matter is I meet families pretty much every day that have been touched by autism one way or another, and it's amongst us. And the good news, as I've seen with my son, is that focused intervention works. It leads to skills gained of these kids, and you can absolutely change the trajectory of their life. The problem, and that what we're trying to solve, is it needs to be accessible and affordable to everyone. And so we're using technology to make that happen.
And it's amazing how personal experiences have a way of changing the world. and the way we treat some of these illnesses that are really, we can improve the quality of life of the people affected by them.
Absolutely. And the reward is just immense.
It's immense, personally as well as hopefully financially rewarding for you and your investors in your company.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So we have been speaking with our Crab Trap Winner Floreo and its CEO and co-founder, Vijay Ravindran. We wish you the best of luck. We'd like to follow up with you and see the progress of this company as you progress and keep coming back to the BioHealth Capital Region.
I intend on it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thanks for listening to BioTalk with Rich Bendis.